Hello Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. I'm going to show you an example of how shadows and sunlight behaves on the wall behind me in this video, just as we would expect it to do on a level Earth with the sun going away from us while maintaining a consistent height above the surface as it goes off into the distance and finally sets. So there you go, everything's faded out. So let's just have a quick look at what we're seeing here. Let's just go back, okay? So the shadows, the main shadows that you can see here and the dapples of light between them is, I think, from the trees that are immediately in front of me but behind the camera and in front of the house. So I'm basically looking in the direction of the sunset, and of course the sun is going behind the trees as I speak. It's going off to the west, and we can see that those tree shadows move upwards, and we can also see here the shadow of the camera, which is on a tripod, and that camera we can see just from this footage is at around shoulder height, my shoulder height, not quite up to my eye height, but around there. So the camera's eye level is somewhere around there, because that's the center of the camera's field of view, and it was horizontal. So you can see that that shadow is rising slightly, but not as rapidly as the shadows from the trees. And then it comes into view again down here, and you can see that this is stretching somewhat, but as the sun goes away, it kind of stops there and doesn't quite get to exactly that shoulder height. So I'd say that the shadow is a little bit below the actual height of the camera at this stage. It's not quite as high as the camera, but as you can see, the shadows from the higher trees continue to rise, but then everything kind of fades out there. So it stops there. We've got this, it stops and then it fades out. All right, and I think what's happening there, that line of shadow here, is probably the house, the roof of the house blocking off the sun there, or it could be other houses in the neighborhood. It's really difficult to know for sure exactly what that is, but I think we can definitely ascertain from this that we see the shadows from the trees rising up, and they are higher than us, and then we can see that the shadow of the camera on its stand does go up slightly, but not as significantly as those other shadows, and then everything fades away. So that's what we see in reality, and as I said, it's exactly what we expect to see on a level Earth with a local sun that's travelling away from us and maintaining a consistent height above the surface, causing the shadows to do exactly this. And so let's have a look at how we can recreate that on a smaller scale in kind of test conditions, as it were. So with the torchlight on my phone and this microphone on a stand casting a shadow on the wall, I'm just going to demonstrate the difference between a local sun travelling away from us, as we would expect to see on a level Earth, and the sun apparently going down because we assume we're on a spinning globe that is sending us backwards and away from the stationary sun. So as you can see here, the microphone casts a shadow depending on where the light actually is. So in a globe Earth scenario, of course, the sun does come overhead, but in order to recreate what's supposed to be happening to make the sun set on a globe, is of course I actually have to physically bring the torch down. So that's what I'll do now. And as I do that, I've now got the phone resting on the ground, and you can see that we now have a shadow that's gone a lot higher. It's still quite clear, and it's gone a lot higher than the microphone itself. And I could draw this away a bit on the ground, and then the shadow starts to sink. Yeah, but basically, it's very simple to explain that if you have the light going physically lower than the object that's casting the shadow, then of course that shadow then goes higher up, okay? and if I've got the light at exactly the same level, of course bearing in mind that this is a very small light in itself anyway, but if you get it around the same level, then of course the shadow is about the same level. Alright, so of course either way, with whatever scenario you're considering, the sun is high in the sky. So let's now do it with a kind of flat earth scenario. So you know, there's this local light. I'll just keep it around this height, which is about, I don't know, maybe half a meter above the top of the microphone there, maybe less, 30 centimeters. And of course at midday we would have a shadow, and then as the day goes on, and I basically bring the camera, or the torch further and further away, but keep it at this height above the surface. So I'm just going back and back and back now. You can see that the shadow doesn't ever get higher than the object casting that shadow. Now of course if I bring the light down a bit now, in the distance we can see that the shadow goes up. But basically in this situation I'm trying to recreate a local sun that is keeping a consistent height above the surface. Alright, so that's our flat earth scenario. Eventually the sun goes off in the distance and the shadow fades, and this is our globe earth scenario where the sun physically goes lower than the object casting the shadow. You can see that you get a shadow that goes very much higher. Okay, flat earth, local sun, that shadow will eventually maybe get to around the same height as the object, maybe not quite. Yeah, so that's just me keeping a distance above the surface that's consistent. And here again, globe earth. Alright, globe earth, sun going down, flat earth, sun going away. Alright, sun going away, sun getting close, sun going down. Alright, sun going up, sun going away. Alright, see the difference there? So this is something we can recreate on to scale in many ways, and then we can just go and compare what we actually see happening in reality with objects in the real world that are casting shadows as the sun sets. So if we go back to this for one more comparison, we again can see exactly what we expect to see with the local sun travelling away from us at sunset and bringing that shadow up to nearly its full height of the object, but not quite, because the sun is still physically higher than us. It's just going further away into the distance. And of course, wherever you are on the earth, you are going to have your view impeded by some kind of shadow, whether it's a house or land or something even further away than where you are. Eventually you are going to be in the shadow of something that's higher than you, and that could of course even be clouds as the sun goes away. Alright, so that's what we see happening in reality, and that conforms with what we see when we test light going away from us and casting a shadow as it stays the same height above the surface. Go test it for yourselves. Thank you very much.